Casey.
I'm Rahan Power.
And today is going to be a different sort of podcast, I think, Rahan.
Yeah, a little philosophical, kind of getting
Yeah,
into the the real questions.
yeah. And that is the path of a film career,
Yeah,
or, the passion of it, the
highs and
thrills,
lows,
yep, and
the question marks.
the pain that
Hmm.
comes with it too.
Yeah,
Um,
all of the unknowns.
yeah, okay. So for me, what prompted this idea was I was watching The Worst Person in the World,
Hmm.
Oscar-nominated film, a Cannes-winning film.
In 2021.
Yes. And the main actress in that film, I was watching it on my Criterion Blu-ray. Ooh,
Ooh.
fancy. Fancy physical media.
Oh yeah.
But the main actress in that does such a great job, and I was shocked to find out she had firmly quit acting by the time the filmmaker was coming around to ask her to fill in this role,
Hmm.
basically. And it was kind of like, whoa, one of those whoa moments, like, you quit acting and you win
Hmm.
like Best Actress in Cannes. It's like,
Yeah,
uh, that's like, I don't know, that's one
it's
of those
pretty
stories.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's interesting because there's so many stories like that from from people who have um had exceptionally successful in big careers. Um, like I know we've talked about it. Robert Pattinson, who's been in so much. Honestly, one of the big ones that pops into my mind is Tenet, but I am one of the apparently few people that loves that movie. Everyone that I talk to is like, no, I hated it. I'm like, but did you get it? Because that might be why you don't like it. It's because you're like, nah, it's too much, it's too confusing. You just got to watch it like three, four times, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, um, it's so good. Anyway, Robert Pattinson, who's a phenomenal actor. Like if you watch all of his body of work, he's a phenomenal actor. He's so good at what he does. And he had been auditioning, getting nothing. Like he had done a couple things. He had a small role in Harry Potter. Whoop. And in one of the films.
What
And
film?
he,
Which one was that?
oh God, I don't remember the name of
Okay,
that
never
one.
mind. Never mind.
It's where they have to do like the not triathlon, but basically like the three, it's like the giant competition race thing. And so, um,
Oh, Order of the Phoenix one?
yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Okay.
maybe. I don't know. I don't know the names of them. I just have them in my head. Anyway, um, but so he had decided, like he had auditioned for Twilight, and he's like, you know what, I'm just done. Like, I don't get this. I'm done. I'm sick of it. I can't do it anymore. I'm gonna find something else.
Yeah.
And he got it. And even though everyone hates the movies, um, enough people don't or didn't, and his career took off, and he now it has been incredibly successful. Same thing with John Krasinski from The Office, well, and a bunch of other things, but uh, he had like there's interviews where he said, I was ready to pack up and go home. I auditioned for The Office, and if I hadn't gotten that, I was going to fly back to the East Coast and just stop. I was going to quit. And then he happened to get it, and that was the I mean, we all know what The Office is, and then his career has just boomed.
And who he married? I mean, come
I
on.
mean, Emily Blunt, come
Yeah.
on. Yeah, and he's phenomenal. He's an amazing director, writer, actor, like, and he's had that level of success where he was one bad audition away from quitting. And I feel like there's so many people, there are so many people that are, I'm sure, even better at those jobs, those different things, than everyone that we know, like as a household name. But they just never got that particular uh not even opportunity. Like it's so much of it is just luck. Like, and it just doesn't happen for so many people. And so I
Yeah.
just think of all the talent that's out there, and are they still doing it on a smaller scale, or have they quit, or are they partially in between doing things? Um, and I think that those are three different paths that I know we had been talking about. Like, when are you still technically a director or a
Hmm.
writer or an actor, and when are you not?
Right. Like, when is the, you could ask yourself, like, when's the expiration date on this or that? And it's almost
Yeah,
like there really isn't, but it
right.
feels like there is.
Yeah.
It feels like that time has either passed you or something in some way or another, whether it be as an actor or a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just kind of like we use the act since we like sports. We use the
Yep.
analogy: how many minutes are you getting on the court and
Yep.
during the
Exactly.
season? So it's just kind of like,
Are you
well,
on the
how many?
bench? Are
Yeah.
you in the G League?
Oh yeah, a
Are you on
D.
the bench in the G League?
Yeah, are you
You
on the
know?
bench in the G? Is it
G.
G?
I think so.
Where's the? I thought it was D
Yeah.
League. Is it not? Whatever.
I no, I
Whatever
think
it
now
is,
I'm
it's
curious.
not the majors, maybe,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So we have
Yeah, the
levels
G
like
League.
that. It's called G League now.
G. Yep.
Weird.
Mhm.
Um,
Anyway, but yeah,
yeah,
like
so if even if you're in like the minors for baseball, that's easier
yeah,
maybe.
right.
So if you're on an indie
Right.
level and you've made a film,
Hmm.
maybe it didn't take off either. Maybe it never
Right.
will,
Hmm.
because there are a lot of films out there that we
Really
have,
good films.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we haven't seen maybe. So,
Right.
and maybe they're being made for nothing.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's just similar to what we do, some things that we do, and then
Hmm.
like where do you take it more seriously, I suppose? I don't know. How do you use it?
Yeah.
Where do you use it wisely enough to get it in front of people that will then hype it up, whether it
Hmm.
be in the community, like here in Minnesota, like will
Hmm.
there be enough people to actually have an interest here to even just watch
Yeah.
your film? Um,
Right.
and then is that even enough numbers to, you
Hmm.
know, push you over something? I don't know.
Yeah. Some line. Um, Especially since like when you're in the filmmaking community, whether you're here in Minnesota, you're in another city, wherever, as one big film community, if you are in that, you likely have this big passion for it. And so you are interested in seeing smaller movies, or
Mm,
like indies or locally made shorts
right.
or just anything. And if you're not, then I don't think that most people care unless it's like like if it's my friends and I'm like, hey, you guys, I was in a movie, like it's showing at this theater this one time. You're never going to see it again. Like, do you want to come and see it? My friends are going to be like, hell yeah, I want to go see you in a movie. Let's go. But if it's just a random person on the street and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in this movie, and they're gonna be like, no, I don't care. Who's in this movie? Is it John Krasinski? No, I don't give a shit. Like, they're
Mm,
not going to care. And so that's a whole other aspect of how do you get people to care enough to actually want to see it?
hmm.
Because I think once people start seeing the things that we make and other cities, like communities, are making, that's how we can like rise to that next level of people taking taking a look at us or look at everyone, um and hopefully getting to that level of success or close,
Yeah.
something to be a career versus a hobby, which is another thing that Like, when do you
Yeah.
consider it a career?
Yeah. Is it
Like,
strictly based on making money, or is it something else?
mhm,
Because I think as a business, we're in a tough spot because there's a mix of art and commerce. So,
yeah,
and at what point does one override the other? I mean, it's
mhm,
kind of like, does money define the success of art?
right. No,
No. I
no,
wouldn't, well, I would say no, but the movie business
yeah,
would say yes,
right. The
because
production, yeah.
people didn't go to the theater to watch whatever because it was
Yeah.
stream or whatever,
That's a good point. It's very subjective. Like, it's when it's personal, um, the success is in doing it. Success is in completing it and having that piece of work that you were able to give something to and be a part of or create yourself. Um, but and maybe that in itself is all that some people want. And that in turn is their career in their mind. Like, yeah, I've got a job and that's what pays me, but it allows me to have this career on, even though it's on the side.
Hmm.
Um, and some people might look at that and say, absolutely not. Like, that's the thing that you do for fun. That's your
Hmm.
hobby. That has nothing to do with until you are making whatever amount of
A
money.
livable
Uh,
wage, right?
yeah, like then it's just a hobby. So it's entirely subjective, but I feel like the people who probably are like going to be the harshest about it or have what I'm going to say is the dumbest opinions um and say like no, it's definitely not, like it's only a hobby until you have this financial threshold or whatever. um
Like you like to play basketball, but you're not getting paid
yeah,
to do it. So
right,
you're not doing this for real.
right,
It's like that's the type of
yeah,
thing I think we all feel because so
yeah,
much of the time I'm going to get us more personal about this here with questions here now
okay,
as we move into the
yep,
later half of this.
yeah,
Because when I make a film, it feels more because it's not making money, it does feel like a hobby in that sense.
okay, interesting,
Because I don't have a lot of money to make it with,
yeah,
and I don't know anyone here locally who does unless they're making a lot
yeah,
of money at their job and
right, yeah,
or have a large inheritance or something. I mean,
yeah,
that's or a trust fund, you name it, whatever it is.
right,
Good for you, you got the money, but
yeah, but
it's just kind of like, well, did that then the next question always inevitably becomes like investment. Who's investing in it and what's your budget? And,
yeah,
people can't work for free. It's just like
right,
that's true, but we don't really have the resources unless you get like a tax incentive break or
hmm,
rebate locally um, to really, I don't know, get the funding for it unless you have people that will contribute to it.
yeah,
But then if you're asking, well, if you're doing like the crowdsource way, like a
mhm.
GoFundMe or something, that's kind of more like I don't know, that's more like charity, like I know
Mm,
not exactly, but you know what I mean.
you just have a lot of producers.
That's kind of what it means for copyright too. So I'm just
Yeah.
saying, yeah.
But
But
yeah.
yeah, but that's kind of it can feel that way when you're producing art because
Hmm.
it's the art of film, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a big factor. So that makes sense.
And
Um,
others need to be on board with that vision if you want
yep.
it to work. And same as an actor, like from an actor
Yeah.
standpoint, then, do you feel like um, it's a hobby? Do you feel like I know Rana, we've hinted at this, but I'm just gonna ask you point blank.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
When when was your last acting gig?
Oh God. Honestly, it's been a long time. Actually, I don't think it's been quite as long as I thought. Um, I was working at Delta at the time, which okay, it has actually been a long time. Which was 4, 5 years ago, five about. I did a commercial down south a little bit, towards the southern part of the cities. Um, so yeah, that was the last thing that I did on camera, or just period. Um, but yeah, like in that instance, I mean, it's been 5 years since I've been in front of a camera, and I haven't done
2019?
theater. Yeah.
Huh.
Um, and so there's like the question then could be, is it is it right or wrong of me to still call myself and consider myself an actor? Um, I do still call myself that because that is it's still a large passion. It's still something that I love. It's still something that is a great part of me. There are reasons that I haven't participated or done it in 5 years. Um, a lot of that has to do with mental health and some s- symptoms of it, I guess, side effects, whatever. Uh, but whatever. Um, but I don't consider myself right now as having quit. I don't have in my head like I'm gonna get back into classes and auditioning it by next year kind of a thing. But I don't consider myself as being done with it. I just consider myself having stepped back for whatever time period I need to. Um, but I do strongly still consider myself an actor. I think a lot of people would probably fight me on that. They'd probably be like, no, it's you're not because you are not doing it. You're not like you're a podcaster about film. You are not an actor anymore.
Hmm.
And so I again I think it's very subjective.
You're a film
Um,
critic, not a filmmaker.
I mean, I'm definitely a film critic. Uh, we all know that. But yeah, so I mean, again, it's really subjective, but and I think that a, a lot of it has to do with what someone's intentions are.
Hmm.
If they are fully intending to quit, they're like, no, I'm done. I'm going to do something else, or I just don't have interest anymore. Then yeah, maybe like if I was like acting, then yeah, no, I'm not an actor. Like whatever. Um, but I don't, and I still have the passion. If someone doesn't have the passion, then I mean, they're not going to care to call themselves anything. Um, just like for being a filmmaker, like if you haven't directed anything in 5 years, that doesn't mean that you're not a filmmaker. That's still in you, and you're still thinking about it, and uh, whether you're doing little things throughout that time, or if you are trying really hard to get stuff made and put together and it's just not working, or if you are taking a step back. I don't think that that means that you're not a director. Um, but yeah, I'm sure a lot of people don't think that. I don't necessarily think of it as a career or hobby though for myself.
Right. The other harsh reality about it could
Yeah.
be also seen as I always think of those phrases, um, like either you're a wash up or a never was
Hmm.
or a has been, whatever. Um, like a has been or a never was. That always makes me think. Um,
I think harsh is the right way to word that. And
yeah, it is harsh.
I don't think that they're I think that's a really what's the right
Well,
word?
I'm not thinking of it in terms of me now per se, but
No.
as an overview
Yeah, just
life
in
look.
general for
Yeah.
yeah. I don't I I don't think that those are actually real things. I think that those are just negative, like ways to put ourselves down in any facet of life, or ways to put others down.
Yes.
And that might be just because we are unhappy with our lack of success or whatever,
Right.
in what we think that it should be. But I don't think that there is such thing as a never was or a has been. Like it's
Well, it
there's luck, there's not luck, there's
yeah,
unfortunate circumstances, there's I mean it's life. Things happen.
but
Good things
others have
happen, bad things, you know.
have the same, well, similar, not the same, but similar challenges, and they still rise to the occasion. In the case of the worst person in the world, for instance, or The Office.
Yeah.
Um,
But part of that is luck.
yes,
A big part of that is luck. Um,
but
if
this,
Adam Scott had, because he auditioned for the role of Jim too, if he had said, if I don't get it, I'm going to quit, he's done. Like, we don't know who Adam Scott is. But he decided not to quit and he kept going. And so uh,
hmm,
I think so much of it
interesting.
is that it's luck. It's just like catching the right person's eye at the right moment in time, whether that's as an actor in an audition, whether it's as a filmmaker and catching the right production companies. I like just one person to be like, ooh, that. And
Right.
that's all you need. And that's a lot to ask for because you need such a particular one person's eye to get caught.
Hmm.
That's the thing. So and
And
it's not like there's 100 people auditioning or trying to get their films made. There's a million all over the pit. Like the odds are just stacked against this particular field.
that, well, yeah, that and music. I'd say music is
Yes.
more
Yep.
challenging, but I would argue that. Because with film, you can make one project and walk away and start up a new one.
Yeah.
Not that you can't with music these days, people do that too, but um, I think I'm more thinking about the r- your self roadblocks of that
Mm,
thought process because uh, I think like because we asked that question to people here,
yeah.
like, have you progressed as you had thought you would,
Hmm.
or would maybe you would like to have at this
Yeah.
point? Most are no's because of that type of mentality. Like you're not
Yeah.
where you want to be, obviously,
Right.
or have as much success as you would hope for. But what is that success also?
Yeah.
Because the people that have said yes to for other reasons, of course, other than certain expectations.
Yeah.
So,
Right. I mean, yeah, what expectations are you putting on yourself? Are you
mhm.
being
I
realistic in
as a
what your
film,
expectations are?
yeah, as a filmmaker, I feel it for feature filmmaking
Yeah.
because it's easy to make a short
Hmm.
for virtually nothing.
Yeah.
But it's harder to make a SAG independent film
Yeah.
that has financing
Nope.
and you can actually run it through a festival circuit
Hmm.
and then get to distribution and then
Yeah.
work that part of the business
Hmm.
with your art. It's kind of
Right.
like you can't think about the business before you think about the art.
Right.
But
No,
I
that's
think we get caught up in that because we do wonder where do we get the investment from? Where like how are
yeah.
we going to make this without like a I don't know, a
It's still
name
a
that
big
hasn't been
part of it.
made.
Right. Um, yeah, it's really tough. It's a balance. And I think it's a balance that a lot of people struggle with because there are those who are more heavily in like the mindset of the business aspect. And so they're thinking of that first before they're letting themselves get to the creative aspect. And then there's people who are like, no, this is why I do this. This is what I care about. I'm going to do it. I'll figure this stuff out later, or I'll figure this out what I need to. And if I don't, I'm not going to give up on this. Um, so, and then there's some people who were probably raised in a very mentally healthy way, and they can do it both. Um, you're welcome for having no trauma. Not you're welcome. Congratulations. There we go. Um, but it's it's tough. Um,
Or you have to do the deep work to
and
deal with
sewing,
that. Because
right.
even if
Yeah.
it never goes away, you have to figure out ways to
Yeah.
cope healthy with those
Right.
um, roadblocks, I guess, or
Yeah.
mental blocks, maybe.
Yep. And making
Um,
sure that when you run into the one side of it that you are not as apt to handle. Like I'm definitely not a business person. I'm not gonna like if I were making a film, that's where I would fail. I'd be like, oh, I have to figure out the like businessy like step. Like, no, I'm good.
well, if you
Um,
really wanted to make a
but
film and you had to, I
yeah,
think you could. I mean,
right. But like
it's,
that's where if I had a roadblock, that's where it would be.
yeah, okay.
And so I think that's but like if you're surrounding yourself with people on that project, on
Yeah.
that film that can balance that out. Um,
Or help present solutions instead of just offering up the
right.
problem that everyone knows we
Yes.
have. And it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
okay, that's the problem,
Yeah.
but what's your solution? It's like,
Right. Yeah.
um,
It's really thinking about it and trying to continue to have a positive mindset and focus on the good
yeah,
and the like, yes, I'm doing this because I love it. Yes, I'm doing this because I'm really excited for the outcome and not let those roadblocks get you down so much that you are in such a negative mindset that you stop caring or you get too frustrated and you're like, I give up.
right.
Or anything like that, like not letting that overpower it. And that's
And
hard. That can be hard.
which I think can be helpful for actors having
Hmm.
life
Yeah.
experiences like that, I think.
Yep.
It helps you empathize with the fact that, there
Oh yeah.
are, and I feel it as a director too, as I age also, is just like there have been things I've learned along the way that could really help, and
Yeah.
I hope it does. But yeah, just the idea of like if you were at a point where you had to you felt like you had to decide that
Yeah.
do I do this anymore?
Yeah.
Even if you're much older than
Yep.
you are today, maybe double the age.
Ugh. Yeah.
Like at that point, would you stop? Is that where the passion ends? It's
Maybe.
just that's the bigger question I think I'm
Hmm.
thinking about is like when you reach that next point, because you never thought
Hmm.
you'd reach this point at this
Right.
time, you're right?
Yeah.
So thinking to the future, like how prepared are you to take a knee, if you will, or
Yeah.
take a bow, you know?
And part of that could very well happen because maybe, I mean, people change. Like I am not the same person that I was 10 years ago. I'm certainly not the same person I was 15 years ago. And so
We talked about that on our first Patreon.
yeah, like oh, I don't know who that was, but she
I don't know who
exhausts
that
me.
was. Yeah, I'm
She
like,
exhausts
this
me.
was you.
Yeah. She's exhausting. Youths, I tell you. Uh, but I mean, part of that is people changing. So as we get older and as we have other things in our lives that are really important, whether it's family or you know, a lot of loss or particular loss or it's like maybe new like friends that just happen to fill some hole and there could be anything, new hobbies, new passions that like grow. I mean, even going from wanting to be, say, we've had people on who are like, I started as an actor. I found that I love directing. I really want to do writing and kind of growing within the field. Like there are people who could grow outside of it. Like I've started as an actor, found that I wanted to do art direction, and now I love painting and I actually want to paint, and that's my passion now. Like part of it could be that, and part of it could be more of a like just a sense of, you know what? I love this, but it hasn't worked, and I'm going to give my focus to something else for the remainder of my time and kind of giving it up. So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
or
remember where I was going with that.
I don't either.
I feel like it was in answer to your question or your point, but then I kind of went off a little bit, so I don't remember.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's the train of thought for Hana, everybody. Um,
literally all day, every day. This is why I can't tell stories
yeah,
to
I
people.
have, and then I get ADD, and I'm like, "What's this?"
Hmm. I mean, that's what it is. It's
I like that
literally
we
like,
just don't pay attention to each other as we talk.
yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
Like as long as we don't answer or ask the same question twice in a row, then I think we're fine.
Oh dear. Yeah, we're gonna become very repetitive here. I have to ask the same question, Ron.
I need you to repeat yourself. I promise to try and
Okay.
listen the second time.
And then I have to
Just kidding.
interrupt when you go
Yeah, you could be like,
careening
no.
off the
Yeah.
balcony. No.
Oh, but, and I
But
mean,
yeah, gosh, so there's the mindset, mind state, there's passion,
mhm.
there's a lot of pain that comes with it. How do you deal with the pain of it?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of rejection, there's a lot of, no, I don't want to invest in your film.
Hmm. There's a lot
No,
of,
I don't even want to read your film.
right. A
Um,
lot of no's and auditions.
yes.
A lot of the time you have no idea why. Um, and so there's a lot of negativity floating around your head if you let it. Uh,
I'm trying to
even though
think
a
of a
lot of the
time
time it's,
where I felt that, and then you should
yeah,
think up your own when you had to deal with that.
so many times. I am not good at auditioning. I shouldn't say that on the podcast. I don't care. I'm not good at auditioning. Um, it's something that I definitely, when I do get back into it, I need to work on. Because it's not an actual representation of of like my actual acting ability. I'm terrible at auditioning, so I got a lot of no's. I mostly
Hmm.
got yeses once I kind of built relationships with people and they learned more and saw more about what I could actually do versus just
Oh,
going into audition room.
like a body of work to show, or
I actually no, I never got a body of work because I only ever got one thing. One, oh my God, I can't even think of it.
one film?
Yeah, like back after completing projects.
Which one?
One. And I was only in it for about 5 seconds. It was my first one in the cities where I played a zombie. Um, and I ate the shit out of this person's hand.
Yeah.
And it was so gross, but so fun. And then I went home and I still had all this like zombie stuff on. And I look terrible. And I'm walking through my apartment to go to the elevator, and these ladies are leaving, and they're like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I was like, "What?" Like, what are you talking about? I'm going home. And then I realized what was
Leave him
happening. I was
alone,
like,
you guys.
"Oh shit." I was like, "I'm fine. That's all right. I'm good. I understand what I look like. I'm good." Um, but yeah, that's the only one I believe that I have.
Don't you have short films? You had like the one with Kendra, and that was a 48, I think.
I never got that one.
You didn't?
No. I actually do, you know what? I think I got one that our friend Jason made that I was in, which is a really fun one
Which one
actually.
was that?
Oh my gosh. Uh what the heck was it called?
I'm gonna
Not
have to look you up,
Restraint.
Rahana.
Um oh, crap, I don't remember the name of it. It's been a long time.
She says
Um
she's an actress, so let's take a look,
right.
folks.
Uh but yeah, it's that was a really fun shoot. That was also a 48, and it was really fun. Um
Restraint?
mhm.
Is that it?
Yeah, restraint. Okay. That's what I thought, but then I was like, there's no way
Hmm.
I'm right. Yeah, restraint. That
Are
was
they at least
so I
online
do think I
somewhere
have
to
that.
watch? Or I think they are.
That's a good question. I
Yeah.
will be honest, I didn't check. But anyway, the point is not a real, but like um
copies of your work
Yeah. And
or
so not necessarily like,
a body of work that you were.
yeah. So like if I had worked with someone and then say they saw it, like they may have a connection and essentially vouch and be like, oh, hey, really good recommendation. Or if I did a few 48s, and then as people see it, they're like, oh, okay, versus me auditioning. And then they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. Although you cast me after an audition, so who knows? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, back to the point though, rejection. I mean, it's all over the place.
Your hair was really dark then, I think, right? It was like,
Probably. I went really dark brown and then I went red for a while and then I went blonde and then I went back to brunette and then blonde and now brunette again. No one will ever know what the real color is. Just kidding. This is it. Easier to maintain.
yeah.
Although now I have gray hairs coming in. I see
So you have to
new
go full
gray
dark.
I see new gray hairs almost every day, like little baby ones popping up. I'm like, I swear to God. I was okay having a handful, but now I'm like starting to speed up a little too fast. Anyway, that's not the point of what we're talking about here. Come on, Ellen.
Yeah, we're talking about rejection, people.
Please don't reject me for my gray hair. If I ever audition for you, please. I
Yeah,
will
so
dye my hair,
there's,
obviously.
huh. So that's interesting. So if auditioning isn't your best representation and you don't have a reel or body of work to display, how,
That's the question. How?
how do you get to the
Yeah.
next project? What?
Um, it's gonna make getting back into it really hard, I could tell you that. Uh, honestly, I mean, auditioning is something that just it's it is the job essentially. Like the getting cast and actually having the roles is just the next step up. It's like the bonus,
Mhm.
whereas the actual job is auditioning. So it's something that if you're not willing to work on and get better at, you're never going to be good at your job. And so it's something that I have to work on and get better at. And I think actually being older now, I think that I'm more apt to do that. Like I understand what my like my strengths and weaknesses were in that audition process. So it's just a matter of like getting back into a classroom with a coach or teacher and working it out and getting better. Um, but aside from that, I mean, previously it was literally work with somebody and I might get to work with them again because they know what I can and cannot do
Right.
on set and what they need and how I take direction or can take direction and stuff. And then again, like if people saw a film I was in the 48-hour film festival or online or something, and then they were interested at that point. Having those conversations. That's sort of how it worked, which is not really the way that you should do it because again, if you can't audition, you're not going to work very much. Um, so yeah, how is the right question?
hmm
And it's just working and trying to get better at your job.
Yeah, how do I go from hobby to career?
Yeah.
Well, that's part of how is keep doing your hobby.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
if you stop, maybe just,
Don't stop. I
yeah.
stopped.
Yeah.
Uh,
Don't stop, kid. Well, yeah.
but yeah,
You're
I know what you mean.
you're hanging on by the hairs of your chinny chin chin here.
That's what this podcast is. Just keep
Yeah.
me going.
And then, yeah, because
Yeah.
uh yeah, I look forward to working with you, Rahana.
Ditto.
The thing, the project I'm working on now has a lot of small parts that
Yeah.
can be bigger later. That's one thing I loved about Breaking Bad and Better Call
Yeah.
Saul is
Mm-hmm.
that especially between the two series also,
Yeah.
there was almost like they were kind of smaller roles than Breaking Bad, but because Better Call Saul happens earlier, you
Yep.
get more backstory for some of these characters,
Yeah.
and they develop into like, whoa, that's an interesting character, you know? Like
Hmm.
you didn't know that when you first saw them in Breaking
Right.
Bad or something.
They really get to expand on all
Yeah.
of these people and their backgrounds and their lives. Yeah.
Yeah, and just exploring those things, and I really love that when a series is like, here's that character for now as you know them, and
Yeah.
then later, like maybe 2, 3 episodes are filled with like who they are as that
Yeah.
character, and you really
Hmm.
get to see the actor shine in those roles
Yeah.
too, because if it's about them, then the camera's on you, you know, it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
as an actor, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah,
It's
that's the type of world building and character building that I really
yes.
love
Yeah.
because um it's kind of like life because
Oh yeah.
when like you mentioned like things will happen in your life but then you meet people, right? New
Hmm.
people and then old people disappear and
Yeah.
it's just it's just very interesting how people come to meet like how we
Hmm.
met and then
Yeah.
this happened and
Right. The ebbs and flows, and
mhm,
again, just being in that right moment at the same time as somebody else is in that right moment, and
yeah,
then being open to the opportunity for whatever the connection is that you need,
yeah.
which is not always easy. Like any number of things could cause it's the butterfly effect. It could cause that to not happen. And um yeah, so kind of it's lovely if you think about it, but it's really easy for people to think about it negatively when it comes to this field. Um
Yes.
yeah,
Because the time until that happens can seem endless.
and really disheartening.
Yeah, just like our winters.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Post New Year's, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
after that first or second week in January, everything starts to be like, oh.
I mean, usually the like second or third week in January is when we have like -50. It's like just kill me.
Yeah, thank God for El
But
Nino, huh?
right.
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Global warming. Um, anyway.
seriously.
But yeah,
But
I think the biggest thing I have struggled with is just getting the like this film I'm working on is
mhm.
about love and it's like what do I know about love, right? It's like what's
You know plenty.
how does love go, you know? And how does
Love
it
can
go
be
for your
anything.
characters, you know?
Right. I mean, how do you want it to go?
Right.
Because it can
And
be anything.
I'm used to not writing about love. So this is my challenge. Let's see.
I recommend going to therapy. You're going to open up, you're going to have so much to write. You're going to be like, oh my God,
Yes, I agree.
thoughts and feelings. And that's really what you want to like incorporate anyway in your films is lots of thoughts and feelings,
Hmm.
depth. And so but it's hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting the way I've incorporated certain things into the film,
Hmm.
but also trying to make it true to the characters
Yeah.
and who they represent.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's a balance for sure. I
Mhm.
know we talked about this last week. No, this week. Time is an illusion. Okay. I don't know when it happened. Um, but we talked about this and you'd asked me some questions and I'd mentioned that I had been interested in writing like films before. I don't think I'm uninterested in it now, but I don't have, like, I can come up with the ideas, but they're bits of ideas. I cannot string together an actual story, um, beginning, middle, end, uh,
Mhm.
especially the end. I just don't have, there's just something that blocks it, and I just have never been able to do it. Um, and so it's really tough. Uh, Trying to piece it all together, especially when you're taking into account the world that you're building and every individual person that you're creating, that, people are complex. And so you're having to take that into account and all of that, but then still give room for um, the actors to come in and potentially like give new perspective into who these people are, and then keeping in mind how you want them to coexist.
Right.
It's really complex. So the
And
fact
that,
that you do that, by the way, is amazing. Um, I hats off to writers.
yeah, I've tried, like, that's why I think I like Breaking Bad so much, is because the
Hmm.
characters change, like in a film.
Yeah,
They
right.
don't, but when you watch a series, they don't change. There's like a show Bible, and they don't do this or that with their lives because it's already been predetermined. Kind of,
Yeah,
that's a whole different discussion.
yeah,
But, we'll probably get into that later. But,
yeah.
like, is this predetermined or
Right. Yeah.
or is it like freedom of choice?
Never know.
Oh boy. Oh, I think there are some things we know.
My freedom of choice is to stay up reading instead of going to sleep when I know that I need to go to sleep.
Yeah, but
That's my freedom of choice.
your brain is already you've already determined. Anyways, okay. We won't get into that right now,
Oh, I love
but
it.
trying to
But
stay
yeah,
with our is this going to
the
work or
topic,
not? Yeah.
right?
Sometimes it can feel like it won't. I mean, those are
Yeah.
rough years, especially like you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
5 years, Rahana.
It's been a minute.
Hmm. How
Yeah.
does that feel?
Um, Honestly, it feels like the it man, there's a lot of feeling, a lot of different feelings that go into it. Um, I'm sad because I love acting and I love the experience. I'm happy because I don't think that I could have put all of like as much of myself and my um myself into roles and everything as I would have wanted to and would have felt like I needed to during that time with a lot of the things that were going on. I felt there was a big point or a big chunk of time where I just felt really disconnected, um, and broken off from that and a lot of other things. And so I like the enjoyment or the memory of enjoyment or the idea of enjoyment wasn't there. And so I was totally content in it. Um, so I mean there was a lot of thought and feeling. I think knowing that I do not consider myself as being done, like whether it's next month or a year from now or 5 years from now, God, not 5 years from now, but um I I intend to get back to it, to step back in. And because of that, it makes it more bearable. And seeing like my friends succeed and make films, like seeing you make films and seeing people that we've had on the podcast that I've worked with or had classes with make films and do so well and get shout outs and awards, and like it feels so good. Like it
Hmm.
makes me so happy. And so I think that also helps me stay like emotionally connected,
Yeah.
which helps. So
I guess, yeah. Well, anyways, since talking to like Chelsea and everything like that,
yeah,
that sort of thing.
yeah. Um,
um,
how does it feel for you when you're between projects?
ooh, yeah. It try not to be between projects. Try to have your next one ready to go. It's rough because
Yeah.
if you don't have, I don't know, inspiration or motivation to
Hmm.
get the next, well, yeah, it comes sometimes from an inspiration from a writing standpoint, and then
Hmm.
also yes, motivation because uh, more than not, we're working full time trying to live our lives
Yep.
while trying to keep our passions alive as well,
Hmm.
and that is hard. It's
Yeah.
it's a lonely state, especially I'm sure for actors obviously that are like auditioning and not on a project or something between
Yeah.
projects. Um,
Yeah.
and then maybe you see other filmmakers or actors making or creating films all the time,
Hmm.
and that can feel frustrating because you're not going as fast
Yeah.
or Um, it's like how are they getting this done, right? It's like,
Yeah.
um, and I think it goes back to what you mentioned, like who do you know? Like
Hmm.
people are your best resource. It's never the the money necessarily. It's
Right.
always who can get this done for you that
Yeah.
can get it done, like without having to take a loan out
Hmm.
or max
Right.
out your credit card.
And it's tough because I've noticed this with so many of the people we've had on over the last 6 years, 7 years, 32
7.
years. I don't even know.
Well,
Um,
season 7.
so 6 years.
Yeah.
Um, so many people work with the same people consistently. They're like, nope, if I'm doing a movie, this is who I want to be doing in this role, and this is who I want to be doing in this role, and this like whether it's crew, whether it's cast, um, they have like a pretty set group of people. They're like, this is who I'm making all of my movies with, or the majority of my movies with. And that also makes it tough because
Mm,
you can be like, hey, I really want to work with these people. And they're like, I'm making three different things and I've got all my people already lined up. I know who I want to work with. So I don't have time or I don't have a place for you, or something like that. And that can also, so they're working constantly,
yeah.
like you said, and you're sitting there like, I have this like project. I have this film that I really want to make and it's going to be really good and I know we could do it well, but I need the people around me and so that can also add to like that disheartening feeling.
Yeah. Especially if you're new to the
Mm,
local industry and let's say
mm-hmm.
you want to
Yep.
be on someone's Z-Fest project that you
Yeah.
know they make really good short
Mm-hmm.
films or something.
Yep.
And a lot of them we've had on the podcast. So
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, that can be tough.
Yeah.
That's where some of people have mentioned we're a tight-knit community and
Yep.
it can be hard to make that extra effort unless you're actually getting that FaceTime with those
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah.
So hopefully they, there are events that you can attend locally that you can do that with. So
Which for some people is terrifying.
yes,
Anxiety is a real thing. Social anxiety is a real thing.
yeah, yes,
I
it
will say
is.
that's one big roadblock for me. Uh, trying
Yeah.
to have a
Well,
conversation with someone I don't know in an environment that is not this, where they are here specifically to talk to me, even though they don't know me, terrifying.
hmm, why
And
is
I
that?
get real awkward real quick.
Yeah,
And then
a
they're like,
little therapy session here.
who are you? Like, why are you talking to me? What's happening here? And I'm just like, I don't know. And that's not a helpful way to introduce yourself to somebody. So, I mean, there are also those kind of roadblocks that
More more of a fear of the unknown, perhaps. Hence anxiety. So
a fear of potential rejection that's not even
the
because my
unknown.
audition didn't go well, because
Oh.
my I'm not right for the role, for the
Mm,
project. It's this is just me. Like they're not rejecting my portrayal of a character, they're rejecting me as a human being. And that is a whole other layer. You can reject my audition. I'm used to
mhm.
that. But if you reject me as a human being to even just have a conversation and get to know me, whew, that I think is, I mean, for
Ah,
me, that's a big thing. But for people with social anxiety, that's kind of what that can be. So
okay.
that can be tough
So
too. This is not a
also,
therapy session, by the way.
no, no, no. We're. I'm not going to let this go for a minute. Just
Why?
for a minute,
Ugh.
because other people are, let's say at a like a social gathering too. I just want
Yeah.
to kind of make a scenario. There, let's say the international film festivals happen,
Mhm.
and they want to try to meet Roger Deakins, let's say, and then
Yeah.
the only way they can do that is because they have certain objectives when they're there.
Hmm.
Same with like if you want to meet a certain filmmaker here locally, you want to talk to them or whatever.
Yeah.
But they also have an objective or an agenda, maybe, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. Absolutely.
So in some ways, yes, I get that the rejection of you, but also what else is going on in their world too that you don't
Oh,
know.
100%.
So,
Yep. And then they're dealing with the same thing with whoever
right.
they're trying to connect with.
Yeah.
And
And try
yeah,
not, hopefully, it's nothing personal. I don't think anyone's trying to take, like, I'm personally upset with you. It's like,
I,
or,
I'm sure they're not.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want to talk to this person.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm
maybe
just a
they're having a
giant.
really bad day. Like,
Yeah.
I had a bad day once. I was just so
Yeah.
tired. It
Right.
snowed at the last Minwift thing,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
was just like, I was just so tired and hungry. I hadn't eaten, and it was just like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
I
probably
get it.
wasn't the best person to speak to that night.
Son of a bitch, Al.
Yeah,
Just
I
kidding.
know.
I'm
Just
kidding.
not wanting to talk to anyone.
It's okay. It's Minwift. You're there to listen, not talk. It's fine. Just kidding.
No, I'm there to mansplain, you
I'm
mean?
kidding.
So
That, yeah.
they brought that up in the worst person in the world or whatever about
Oh,
mansplaining.
nice.
That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Brilliant. It's real. It kills
Yeah.
me. But yeah.
So, yeah, I
So
think whether it's a hobby or a career or both,
yeah.
somewhere in between, maybe your what do they call that? Like prosumer cameras they have that are not quite, they're partially pro, partially consumer. It's like
I've never heard of that term, but I will
it,
believe you.
it's a prosumer camera. There are such things,
Interesting. Okay. I like that.
which is weird because if you think professional, that's like $10,000 cameras. It's like
Yeah. That was a lot.
you have to be that to be professional. You have to afford that camera. I'm
Right?
like, uh,
N- yeah.
and we're coming out with a
Wild.
new $40,000 model next year,
Yeah,
and
it's just like Apple. They're like, "Oh, you like this phone? And next year, two new ones are coming out. And then the year after that, another one's coming out, and then yours is going to be outdated, so you can't update it anymore. So you have to get another new one, and that's going to be $5,000. And the only difference is the jack is different, so you got to buy a new charger. Like,
we're only
what?
charging 4,000 for the proton
Yeah.
recharge
Like,
packs and
what?
Ghostbusters.
Yes. Kills me. But anyway, so yeah, it's
Class 3 roaming vapor.
have you seen the new Ghostbusters yet?
No, it's on the list.
Dude. Oh, so good. I know this is not a Rahana's rants, reviews, whatever, but giant thumbs up. If you don't like it, I don't care. Really, really good. Everybody go
Nice.
see it.
I love the original.
I mean, I love all of them. Even the female Ghostbusters, I thought it was awesome. And if men don't like it, then I'm convinced that they don't like it because it's women and they
Oh,
can just suck it.
there's so many funny little quips in that.
Yeah.
I watched it the other day.
Yes.
Like in the very beginning when he's giving the tour, he's like, and they made room for this clock from the Titanic because they had to use the life raft instead of people instead of for people. They saved this. It was
Yeah.
hilarious. It's like they
It's
saved
so
the
good.
clock.
Now I need to rewatch it. Oh my God. It's so
I think it
good.
was the extended version because I don't think that joke was in the theatrical one. Maybe I don't
Oh,
know.
I need to watch it again. God, it's a good movie. Um,
It was worth the $2 to buy it. That's what
oh,
I'm
okay.
saying.
I mean, yeah, I'll buy it for $2. What? Anyway, well, I enjoyed this conversation. I think it's important. I think it's interesting. And not only to like think about on our own, but to like have the actual discussion.
Yeah.
Especially with like us being on different sides of the camera,
Hmm.
and having different experiences over the last 5 years. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed that. Maybe we'll continue this again later. There's
Yeah.
so much more that we can expand on this. So
I think so too.
to all of our
If
listeners. Oh, nope, go.
if you want to join in the conversation, alumni, we'll
Ooh,
talk to you later. So,
yeah, let us
yeah.
know. Um, to all of our listeners, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.